As people who seek to get rid of bourgeois society and transition from capitalism to a global paradigm where the workers control the means of production, and where we've moved beyond the traditional mode of bourgeois exploitation, we are fighting a long and arduous battle. The battle we're fighting is more complex and difficult than simply cutting off the head of the snake. If we cut off the head of the snake, it grows more heads. If the communists gain victory in a given country, then the bourgeoisie will regroup and attack us with greater ferocity. It's a miracle that China and the DPRK haven't fallen along with the USSR and the Eastern Bloc. And we're extremely lucky that these socialist states continue to exist, because as soon as a socialist state comes into being, it's always going to be targeted with the utmost fury from the capitalist and imperialist powers. It will always be targeted with economic warfare, with military threats, with threats of nuclear annihilation, with regime change attempts, with outright regime change wars if necessary. And the socialist states will always need to prepare and equip themselves for this process of warfare, because if they don't, they're going to be crushed. We must never underestimate the ruthlessness of our enemies, because as we saw in Bolivia last year, our enemies will try any means necessary and take whatever opportunities they can to get a socialist government out of power. Ultimately, the revolution that we're fighting for could take centuries. It's the revolution against capitalism and colonialism began in the 18th century, arguably with the first anti-colonial rebellions, and were then followed up with the Paris Commune, and with the Russian Revolution and the ensuing socialist revolutions of the last century. So progress has been made, and class struggle and anti-colonial struggle, as always, continues to be in motion. But it's an uphill battle. It's been an uphill battle so far, and it will continue to be an uphill battle until conditions drastically change. The reality is that the capitalists and the imperialists are still the dominant force throughout the world, and they're going to take every opportunity they can to kill us. So we must march on with this knowledge. We must continue to face this force and try to outwit them, and in whatever ways we can. If we can't outgun them, we can outwit them, as China is now doing with its concessions to the global forces of capitalism, and its subsequent growth of its economy that's beginning to really surpass the power of the United States. So we do have options, and there are some hopeful signs, but reality is that the imperialists are ruthless, and they'll never stop fighting us. But this is the reality that anyone who's aware of the direction of history knows, that the rich are going to continue waging their class war and fortifying their power structures, and we're going to need to continue to fight back. This is the dynamic that's going to get more dramatic throughout the 21st century as climate change continues, and as billions of poor people are left behind. Will the rich retreat into their luxury fortified doomsday shelters and their well protected wealthy urban enclaves? One day we're going to storm all of these spaces and return the world to an equilibrium of power. But it's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of cunning. It's going to take a lot of lives and resources. This is the reality we must face.